more detailed and therefore lead to even more predictions.
Okay, so you outline these 9 different ways to come about these predictions. How about some examples where different creation evolution models make dramatically different predictions?
Well, that's kind of what I do in Chapter 16 is, I make the example of the expansion of the universe. Young Earth creationists, for example, predict that the expansion would be extremely rapid. Old Earth creationists would be predicting that it's what astronomers are currently measuring. Atheists would be predicting that the universe, many atheists would be predicting the universe is far older than when it's measured, and that perhaps the expansion's been going on forever, or the expansion may not be there at all. There may be some other reason for why the universe looks the way it does. And then the character of the expansion. And so that leads to a lot of different model tests, like is the expansion a surface effect, and if so, in what way? Astronomers right now are trying to determine if the expansion is such that the universe has a closed geometry or an open geometry. That has import for what kind of inflationary hot Big Bang may be responsible for the origin and development of the universe. We were talking about the multiverse in past episodes, and many multiverse models are subject to being tested by the expansion measures of the universe. So that's a good example where you got a wide spectrum of creation evolution models all predicting different things about the expansion of the universe.
Now, let me just out of curiosity ask you about a couple of areas that might be on the minds of people out there. How about when it comes to humanity's location, the Earth and humanity being on this planet? Is that one that you test as well?
I mean, in terms of where the human species originated geographically?
Yes, and maybe even broader than that, our planet being a special location for
well, yeah, I mean, you got the SETI people, for example, predicting that there's going to be planets all over our galaxy with the capability of supporting advanced life.
And SETI, again, is?
Search for extraterrestrial intelligent life. You got the directed panspermia model, which says that there's a planetary system far, far away where they've been sending spaceships here to salt the Earth with life, and that explains all the speciation events that we see here. So those kinds of models can be tested. I thought where you may be taking me is human origins, because that's another example.
I was going to ask that as well, yeah.
Where the different models predict radically different outcomes.
What would the major models say then about that
Well, for
topic?
example, you'd have the naturalistic evolutionary models and to a lesser degree the theistic evolutionary models saying that humanity and the apes are descended from a common ancestor through natural descent. The theistic evolutionists would say that God somehow controls the natural descent, but nevertheless there is a natural line running from the ancestor of modern apes and the humans and running through the bipedal primate species we would see over the last 6.5 million years, that they're all naturally connected, and you wind up with human beings. Young Earth creationists, for example, will insist that Neanderthals and Homo erectus are fully human. We take the position that they're not human at all. So there's a big...
Those are the predictions then. Hugh, a question might arise. How did you come about getting the predictions from other models? That is, you own your own models, so to speak.
Right.
But how did you come about the predictions of other models? Did they give those to you, or are you determining what they are by other means?
Well, I read their literature,
okay.
and I did this to a lesser degree when I wrote Creationist Science, and as I travel around the country, talk to the leaders that take different positions and say, did we did a fair job at representing your position? And basically what I've been hearing from them, yeah, you did. We may have wanted to put a lot more detail and predictions down than you did. And I said, well, that's fine. I was just trying to put down ones that I thought were safe.
Yeah.
And also they appreciated the fact, especially in the theistic evolutionary camp, where I made note of the fact that there's a wide spectrum of theistic evolutionary models. It's not just one position. And that's even true of the young Earth position, although they tend to be a lot more close together than what you see in naturalistic evolution or theistic evolution. And I'm hoping that these different groups will be a little more aggressive at trying to develop predictions of their own and publishing them. And if they do that, then we can list them here. In fact, what I'm doing in Creationist, this book, More Than a Theory, is I've created an electronic appendix where I can be updating those predictions as they come in. So in Creationist Science, it was in print. What you'll notice in More Than a Theory is the book's already 300 pages, and we actually have appendices that are longer than the book. But
Yes.
one of those appendices is a running list of predictions for the 4 predominant models. Our model at Reasons to Believe, the young Earth model, the theistic evolutionary model, and the naturalistic evolutionary model. And my goal is that would be updated on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Say every few months we'd update that list of predictions. And see, that gives us the opportunity that when representatives of different positions write or call, we can include. And so we're just saying it's an open invitation to them.
Right.
They'd like their predictions to be posted in this list. We'd be more than happy to accommodate them.
Now, as I recall, you had about 90 predictions in Creationist Science. That's a couple of years ago now, something like
Right.
that. So are there more predictions?
Well, what we're doing is we're dropping the predictions that have been fulfilled in the meantime. And I'm really quite amazed at how many of those 90 predictions that I listed 3 years ago have already been fulfilled.
Okay, you got a scorecard. We'll talk about that in
Right.
a little bit here.
So we're going to take those off the list and replace it with newer predictions.
Okay.
So the idea is that this would be a dynamic appendix. And incidentally, that appendix is free.
Okay.
People can go to our website and access it.
Reasons.org, I think, /predictions, something like that.
Something like that,
You'll
right.
find it on
Yeah.
our website. Hugh, I want to get to the scorecard in just a minute, but one other thing about predictions. What is it about predictions that can help a model? I think you introduced 3 terms, if I remember correctly, refining, corrosive, and catastrophic.
Right.
Discuss those elements of predictions.
Well, a catastrophic prediction is a prediction that fails to come true, and its failure to come true is so devastating to the model that the entire model must be thrown out.
Okay.
So it literally takes the foundation right out of the
What would be
the
an
model.
example of that?
Well, like from a young Earth perspective, if it becomes crystal clear that the universe is billions of years old, not thousands, I mean, that's the foundation of their model, so
Right.
that would have to go. In the case of our model, in fact, we're often asked this when we're on these university skeptics forums. The atheist science professor will say, well, give us a prediction that if it were to come true, would be devastating to your model. And we say, well, it was ever proven that the universe didn't have a beginning, that space and time didn't have a beginning. That would be devastating to our model. Or, for example, if scientists were to prove that we human beings are purely animal, that we have no features that are distinct from what you see in other life forms upon the planet, that would be devastating to our model. We'd literally have to throw out, the Christian faith would be disproven if that were indeed to take place.
Yeah. How about a corrosive feature?
Well, a corrosive feature is a prediction that fails to come true that is damaging to your model. In other words, major portions of the model would either have to be thrown out or completely revised. And so you're looking at a major, and often a model that, a prediction that is corrosive, you result in revisions that reveal more problems in the model, more corrosive failures in the model, and often that results in the model have to be thrown out too. But typically a corrosive feature is not so destructive that it demands a complete overthrow of the model. There are possibilities of salvaging the model, but it requires major repair.
Okay. And then when it comes to something that's merely refining, what would be an example of that?
Well, a refining prediction is one that fails to come true, but it's a minor point within the model. I mean, and it's something